Hey guys, MaxLPQueen here, and welcome back into the Bernie Goodwin Memorial Zoo. So we are back here with the second part of the scenario here. We're still working on the bronze objectives, but it's time to go ahead and get on into it and get started with the second part here. So, first episode, we added in our aardvarks and we added in our saltwater crocodiles. I have also been continuing to do some conservation stuff, some research with them. And then I have also went ahead and added like the information shop and the loony balloons and stuff. I think you guys saw that. I don't remember if you did or not, but I added some more security cameras for the area so that we can kind of keep everything under control in case we have any problems. But now we're going to go ahead and add in our third habitat species. And this is going to be a cohabitatable exhibit. Or habitat, I should say, not exhibit, but it's going to be cohabitable. Because since we have to have so many different species, and we have so little space, we kind of have to conserve space here. So I'm going to put in a new exhibit, and we are going to add in, I think, 2 species this time. We're going to add in the buffaloes and I think the pronghorns, if I believe. I don't remember their names, but of course it will pop up. But I'm going to add a raised path, as you guys saw, and we're going to add the buffaloes into the, or no, not buffaloes, the American bisons into the little habitat here. Space could be an issue in the future, but for now I think it'll be okay. They don't need too much space, and there's a lot that you can learn about them in the Zoopedia, which is that thing up there in the upper left hand corner underneath the question mark. There's like a Zoopedia that you can use to see how much space the animals need to be happy in their habitat. But I think this will be okay. We might make it a little bit bigger in the future. But we're going to start out with just the 2 American bisons first. I'm going to go ahead and get in some these things, shelters. Why do I always forget the names of those? I'm going to get in a couple of shelters. Add in just the regular things that they're going to need, of course. Food, water, all that stuff. And I think we could potentially have some stuff for enrichment as well, because we have been doing enrichment for the aardvarks, and it could be some things that are be similar that the bisons will be able to use as well. As you can see, we're still doing research. I'm going to try to finish up the aardvarks before I work on any other animals. Eventually we're going to try to get them all, but for now I'm just going to work on them. And like I said, since we're going to cohabitate this one, we're also going to add in some pronghorn antelopes as well. I think that'll do nice with giving us more species. Because it's not the number of habitats you have, but the number of species that you have in the zoo, which counts towards your objectives. So if you have animals that can cohabitate, and you can also, again, you can see that up in the Zoopedia book there, underneath the question mark, up in the upper left-hand corner. If you have some that can cohabitate, then I would probably suggest that you do that. It can help out quite a bit, knowing that they can be in the same space and they can occupy the same space together. It's very helpful, especially if you're on you have a limited space in your actual zoo, which we do struggle with for this scenario. We do have little space to work with, so the more animals that can be in one habitat together, the better, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got 2 of our bisons in, we've got our pronghorns in. You can see that their space is kind of limited a little bit, so we might have to go and increase the size of the habitat quite a bit. I feel like it might be worth it to do so. probably. But we also need to make sure we don't forget, once again, we got to put in our donation boxes, education boxes. Oh, and also, if you're noticing, we're using the brick wall fencing. You can use the brick wall fencing, but the only problem with it is that your guests can't really get a good view of the animals. So that's one of the reasons why I use the raised path there, so that they can get up on the raised path and they can see over into the habitat. I'm also going to put some education board down, or not boards, these information education things, and use some of those. Those will help out with your conservation rating as well. I'm going to put some of those around the zoo too. I think it'll help out. And then I think what we're going to actually do is go ahead and extend out the habitat a bit, because it is quite small. So we're going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm also going to make the walkway a little bit bigger as well, because if you guys couldn't tell, over there by the aardvarks and stuff, it's a bit cramped. So I think having a wider walkway should help out a bit more with having them not be so crowded in one area. It'll kind of work out a little bit better. So we'll we'll make the walkway a little bit bigger. Also going to get my education board set up for the pronghorn and the bison, as well as the speakers. Set those up for those two separately. And since they can't really see the animals from any other viewpoint other than up there on the top, I'm not really going to worry about placing them all the way around the habitat. I'm also going to go ahead and place in a few more staff members as well, because as our zoo gets a lot bigger, we're going to need a lot more help with the staff. So I'm definitely going to have to decrease their workload, because I think in one of the objectives, you have to have a staff happiness rating that is pretty high. So you want their workload to be fairly low, and you want to make sure they have plenty of places to go to work, like keeper huts and staff rooms to take breaks in. So I definitely want to add in a few more now that we have 3 habitats up and running. And I think what we'll do now is we'll try to get in our 4th one, which will be our 5th species. So it'll be 5 species, 4 habitats. And we can place that in over here. I think we'll put in another animal over this way. So let's go ahead and get this barrier all set up here and get in a grizzly bear, because I believe the grizzly bear can live on its own. So we only need 1, and since we're kind of low on cash right now, I think we will go ahead and just do 1 for now. I might end up getting more in the future, but for now I just want to do 1. And since we're only working with very few barrier types right now, we are doing mechanic research on the barriers to eventually get that two-way glass so the guests can have a better view of them. We'll use the brick because we don't want any of our animals escaping. I'm also going to have to put in some education stuff and donation stuff for the grizzly bear as well, which is going to have to all go in this pathway, which is going to be a little cramped, but it should be okay. Also, I think we're getting to the point where guests are finally understanding that ticket prices are a little low, which is good. We want ticket prices to go up so that we can get some more money, because as you can tell, we are struggling right now. We are barely hanging on, and that's only because we have so many loans. What I had decided to do was I decided to take out a bunch of loans. You guys saw that I took out the 50,000 loan in the beginning, and what I ended up doing was taking out another loan, and I ended up, I think, taking out all 3 loans. So until we get all of those loans paid off, we're going to be struggling quite a bit. And there was a big portion of time where I kind of just went through and just push the fast forward button and just sit there and let the zoo run so that we could pay off the loans, because we couldn't really gain any cash flow until we got the loans paid off. And in the beginning of the scenario, we had to rely on a loan because we just couldn't do it without one in order to get started on the scenario. So we've got our grizzly bear in here. Can't do too much in terms of it's overall habitat in general right now, because as you can see, we're kind of low on funds. We don't currently have any funds available to use. So I'm going to try to make it as good as I can. As you can see there, we have the $50,000 loan that we had to pay off. It's going to take a while to pay that off. So it's going to end up being quite a bit before I'm able to actually do that. But I'm going to have to wait around a bit and just kind of wait it out and hopefully get some cash flow coming in soon, because as of right now, we can't really afford anything. So definitely just gonna have to wait until we can afford something. Food, water, anything. Because our animal is not gonna be happy unless we can actually afford any of this stuff. So I think we'll just take out a small loan here. A 5,000 loan, just so that we can get some stuff for the habitat itself. I mean, we have to at least be able to do something so that it has food and water, because the animal is not going to be happy if it doesn't even have any food and water. I mean, that's definitely going to be difficult. So I did decide to take out just a little $5,000 loan just for now, just to get things started, so that we can get some stuff going here. We have a little bit of enrichment items, but not too many right now for the grizzly bear. But I think the bear actually needs a little bit of coverage as far as, like, yeah, plants and stuff is concerned. So I'm actually going to need to put some of those into the habitat to kind of help out a little bit. So let's get that going there. Let's go on through with that and place these in the trees and stuff that they need to be happy. And then now that we have a little bit more money, let's put in some shelters. Of course, gotta have your privacy and have your shelters. And I don't think we can do any enrichment stuff right now. We'll have to research it. It'll be one of those things we'll just have to research once again. Just be something that we'll need to look out for in the future. Since we only have one mechanic working on research right now, or not mechanic, one vet working on research right now, it'll be a bit slow in the beginning. But once you get pretty much, like, I think once you get about one animal with the research stuff all the way, it should help a bit, and you should be able to actually have a lot for all the other ones as well, because the aardvark can have so many enrichment items, and one or two of them might work out for other habitats, like the saltwater crocodile or the grizzly bear or the bisons or any of those. So researching one all the way can be helpful. Why I definitely would recommend doing it. Alright, so I'm going to put in a few more plants and stuff, of course, that we need into the habitat, because the grizzly bear definitely needs it, as far as coverage goes. And we only have a feeder box right now that goes in the water for enrichment. So again, like I said, something we'll have to research a little bit later on that we won't be able to do now. But we need to continue on here with the scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to place in another staff area, because the more staff that you have, the less the buildings are going to be able to hold for them. So we're going to need to have extra buildings, because they're going to need extra areas to be able to work in. We got some more enrichment going for the aardvark. We have a current disease going on right now, but I don't think I will research the diseases. We've done a bit with the aardvarks as far as enrichment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase their food grade level. So you can increase their food grade level from grade 1 to level 2 and 3. And the higher grade level the food, the better the animals will be in terms of, like, their star ratings and stuff. That way they'll be kind of better qualities. They'll get better quality food. They'll have better quality star ratings for offsprings that they have. It overall is very helpful to research and change their food grade levels. So you're probably going to see me do that a lot. I'm going to be changing their food grade levels quite a bit because that's going to be helpful for us later on. Also, another thing that I'm going to do, I didn't really struggle too much with this like the person that was doing the walkthrough did. I guess they weren't playing on easy mode. They were probably playing on medium or hard. But they kept having a bunch of problems with litter and vandalism and stuff. So they added a work zone for the security guards. So I decided to go ahead and do that as well. I'm just going to place the staff room and the 4 little buildings over there as a walkway for the security guards so they can just kind of keep an eye on everything. I pretty much have a lot of the security cameras. That's what I was saying. I forgot the name. I have a lot of the security cameras, so I think that should work fairly well with keeping vandalism down. But just in case, I want to give them a little work area so they can kind of be over there in that one specific area in case anything happens. And also now I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to expand out again. Expand out the pathways, because like I mentioned before, crowding is an issue. So we want to expand out the pathway a bit so that we don't have so much crowding issues. And I need to make the barrier for the bisons and the pronghorns a little bit bigger. So that's what I've done there. I have increased the size of the habitat so that they have a little bit more room in there. Again, adding in the security cameras so that they can keep an eye on things and we're not running into like vandalism and stuff like that. Just overall trying to keep things under control, as we're not going to see too many people coming over to this side because we only have a brick wall, and they can't view the animal from anywhere other than up on that raised platform. That's why they're kind of crowded in up there. I still want to keep the security cameras around just to keep an eye on everything and make sure that everything looks okay in general. So we've got pretty much a little bit bigger space for them. Again, it's not going to be too much more space once they have a lot of offspring. It's going to get a bit cramped in there, but I think we could possibly actually release some into the wild. And the pronghorns are ones that are kind of a bit finicky. So I think with them, we might have to end up editing the barrier a little bit. And this is actually something that I learned from this scenario here. So if you have your animals that are a bit shy and they don't like being viewed by a lot of people, what you can do is you can take the shelters and you can move them so where the animals aren't seen, and you can take the barriers and you can place them around the shelters so that you can raise them up. And when you raise them up, you'll create kind of like a wall where no guests can see into the habitat, and they can't see into the where the animals are sleeping and stuff, so they can get a bit of privacy since sometimes they don't like to be viewed. You can just add it into the habitat itself and raise up the sides of the walls, and it will help out with your like shyness and stuff like that, or if they're just wanting a bit more privacy. You'll see a lot more of that in the future because I am going to be utilizing that a bit. But just raising it up a little bit, it will help with the privacy. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm just going to be raising up the walls a bit so that they could cover up that little window there, and so that the animals can have a bit more privacy in their little shelter area, so the guests aren't like viewing them from all the way around, and kind of, it can kind of get a little bit since the habitat is a little small, it can get a little bit cramped and it can be a little stressful for some of them. And you want them to have no stress, because any type of stress can, I think stress can affect the star rating as well. So definitely want to make sure your animals are not getting stressed out. I'm going to add also some more of these information board stands. I think, again, this is going to help with conservation too. And if you want to use those conservation credits to adopt some animals in the future, you're gonna need to make sure that you get your conservation credits up. So let's go ahead and move over our education speakers and stuff. Since I kind of just changed things up a bit with the habitat, since we have a little bit more space now, since I made it a little bit bigger, I can move this stuff out a little bit. Possibly place in some for the bear, so that we can have a little more education for the bear. But we definitely want to make sure we have plenty of education stuff. As if I can actually pick it up. So many people on this one little walkway, it's hard to get to them. Yeah, so when we move all those out of the way, we should be able to place another one around here. And we should be able to use that one for the grizzly bear, because we don't currently have any type of education for the grizzly bear. We can just lower the range of it a bit so it doesn't flash, or it could like go over the other one, and it could, people don't like that apparently, so making it a little smaller will help. Also going to place in some more security cameras. As you can see, guests will not go around that part of the exhibit or the habitat because, you know, they don't need to. They can't see from over there anyway, so there's no point. But yeah, there it is right there. You can see animals stressed and trying to hide. So you can help out with that by creating these walls, which is what we're going to be doing and working on here. We also got some more research done with the aardvarks, and now we can go to grade 3 food level. Finally, got some more barriers for mechanics working. I'm still working on paying off the loans, but I think I'll take a break on research here for a second because I might want to research the crocodiles, since I don't know if they're going to be able to have any enrichment items yet. We can kind of see if they will. They've only got one right now, just this one scratching post, which does seem to be pretty helpful, so that'll work. But can we get some more enrichment items for the bisons and the pronghorns, because they need some more. We should have some more. We've done quite a bit of research on the aardvarks, so we should have something. All we have is the barrel we already have for the bisons, and the pronghorns don't have anything. Gonna have to do a bit more research there. We have a few things we can do for the grizzly bear. That should help out with the grizzly bear's enrichment a bit. Probably will have to end up doing research for the grizzly bear too. It's all future plans. Future plans, everyone. Future plans. For now, we're working on just one thing. One thing at a time. We gotta take it slow. We're gonna take it slow because we gotta make sure that we're doing this correctly. I want to get through with this, and I want to do it the right way. Alright, so next up we need to do is we need to actually add in another habitat, because we don't have enough to complete the scenario objective yet. So we're gonna need to add in another one here. And I'm thinking we should probably be able to add one to this big area back behind all of the storefronts and stuff. And that's going to increase our guests, get more guests, bring more guests into the zoo, and bring more cash flow in as well. As you can see, we're good on cash right now. We're actually earning money, which is good. But now we're going to need to create our next habitat. So I'm going to go ahead and use this big area out here to create kind of like what's going to be considered a, I guess you could call it a safari area, but it's going to be animals that can coexist together. And it's going to be a bunch of them. And it's going to be one of the main focuses of the zoo, because we're going to be able to have multiple animals in this one exhibit, and we can actually make it bigger the more that we go on with the scenario. But I just want to start out with one for now, just so that we can kind of get closer to completing that objective. So I've got my pathing up, and I've got my barriers going in as well. So it's going to be kind of a pretty big habitat, because like I said, we're going to have plenty of animals that we're going to put in here, because from looking at the Zoopedia, the antelope that we have going into this little going into this habitat can coexist with quite a few other ones. So as long as you have them where they can coexist and they will not be fighting or trying to kill and eat each other, then you should be okay. I think a lot of them can exist together. The only ones that really struggle with existing together is like lions and predator types animals, because you know they can't coexist together if they're going to eat each other. Like, you can't, it just makes sense. You can't put a lion in the same habitat as a gazelle, because they're going to eat it. Just makes sense. But we're going to go ahead and get our barrier going up here, and then get our antelope coming into the zoo. And I am also going to add in, of course, the things that we're always going to add in: the donation bins, the recycle bins, the conservation boards, and the speakers. We're going to add in a lot of them for this one, because this is going to be a big habitat, and it's going to be able to house a bunch of different animals. So now we just need to probably wait on getting the sable. I think it's sable antelope. I think I kept calling it a stable antelope. I think that was wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a sable. Can't really see too well the name of it, but we've got you in here, and we need to put in, of course, the shelters, food, all the actual things that it will need in the future. And I think we'll just start with you for now. Get some hay bedding in here for you, and we've got food and a water pipe, and I don't think there's anything we can get in terms of enrichment right now. So again, another thing that we will have to worry about will be enrichment for that, but we'll worry about that a little bit later. Unfortunately, our little antelope got sick, so it's going to be going off and getting taken care of from the vets, getting taken care of and fixed up before it comes back into the habitat here. Alright, so now we have completed the first portion there of the bronze tier. As you can see, we have the number of species needed, and we have the happiness up. So now the only thing that we need to do is we will need to get our guests up to 600 and have their happiness be at 60%. So I'm still working on research for the aardvarks. I've got their food at grade level 3, and I have got researched for some items for them. So now the only thing we really need to do is just kind of be waiting. It's just kind of a waiting game where we just have to wait until we get the number of guests in the zoo that are needed. So I'm trying to do some stuff to increase the guest numbers. I added some more conservation boards, and I'm thinking I might want to add something into this area over here to just kind of get some more guests to come in, because like I said, we don't have much space to put in more habitat species, but we could put an exhibit species in, and that might actually help us out to increase the number of guests that we have in the zoo. This is actually one of the things that the walkthrough that I watched didn't do, because they actually didn't struggle with this like I did. I kind of struggled a bit here, trying to get the amount of guests that I needed into the zoo. So I was doing marketing a lot earlier than they were to bring in some more guests. I thought marketing would do a bit more, and I also was trying to do a little bit more in terms of conservation as well, because things just were going a bit slower for me over there. So I did some marketing, and we're still paying off loans as well. So we're going to need to pay off our loans before we can kind of get too much more increasing as far as like our funds are concerned. But really, only thing I'm doing now is just kind of getting, once we have the enrichment up on most of our animals, as long as all of our animals are happy, that will also increase the number of guests into our zoo as well. So it's kind of just a waiting game right now, just to kind of wait around to see if we can hit that goal before we end off the episode. I don't know if we'll be able to do it or not, but I have to get about 60 more guests coming into the zoo before we'll actually be able to complete it, because we have 546 right now, so almost 600. We're so close to 600, but we're not there yet. We're almost there. I've placed some more enrichment items into each of the habitats because we got a little bit more, and I'm also going to place in some more security cameras as well, because now that we have a bigger area and a bigger space for the guests, then they can actually go to, we're going to need some more security. So I'm going to put in some more security cameras. I don't actually know if the security cameras were needed, to be honest. I didn't struggle with vandalism and stuff like that as bad as the person that I was watching did, so it must be like a thing with the scenarios. If you pick easy mode, I guess it really isn't as difficult. Dominic isn't as difficult in easy mode, I guess. Which I'm okay with, because I'm happy not seeing that man anymore. He's terrible. Alright, so I've got my security cameras in, and I think that is going to do it, everyone. We are almost there. 553 guests. So we're almost able to get enough in before we can complete the scenario here. 555. We're getting closer, everyone. We're getting closer. And as you can see, I've added in some of these springboks, I think they're called. I added some of them into the habitat along with the sable antelopes too. So we have more animals, and overall more animals will be more helpful for our zoo in getting some more guests in. So I've added them in along with the sable antelopes as well. So we have more now. And I think though, I'm gonna wait and hold off on trying to complete the scenario here on screen, because, oh, there we go. I was gonna say, because it does take a little bit, but I did have to end up speeding through quite a bit before I was able to get to my goal. I don't know why it took me so long to get to my goal, but I struggled with this way more than the person I was watching did. I don't know why, but I did. I ended up having to like just pause for a little bit and just wait around. But eventually, I finally was able to hit that goal of 600 guests. It took me quite a while. But let's go ahead and speed up here a little bit until we get our guest number, and then we'll hear what Emma has to say and finish off the scenario. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will watch and listen to what Emma has to say, and then we will end it off here after we have completed the bronze star. And the next episode, we will be in completing the silver star. So let's go ahead and see.
Whoa! You've certainly been keeping an eye out for Mr. Myers' troublemakers, haven't you? Like, I bet he's got deep pockets, so don't expect the disturbances to stop anytime soon. Not least because we're right next to New York, and I think one of their baseball teams just beat the other, and the fans are not happy. But on the bright side, we're already getting some great press for the zoo. I just hope that Mr. Myers is starting to feel the pressure.
Well, this is impressive. I never even considered opening a zoo in New York. Emma's really put her old man to shame, hasn't she? What's the matter? You look like you've seen a ghost. Sorry to surprise you like this, but I'm happy to say the reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. I won't go into the details right now, but I have had quite the adventure in the Arctic Circle. Although, nothing compared to what I hear you've been through.
Oh, I know. I'm just as shocked as you were. I would have mentioned it earlier, but I only found out yesterday, and he swore me to silence. Isn't this simply wonderful? Oh, and I suppose this means I'm gonna have to change the name of the zoo.
Okay, all right. So, apparently, Mr. Goodwin is still alive, everyone. All right, so Bernie's still alive. Wow, the results of his death were greatly exaggerated. I knew there was something sketchy going on there with that whenever they said he was gone. I knew something was up. I didn't believe it. And I still don't believe it, and I'm glad I didn't because he's actually alive. But that's it, though. We have completed the Bronze Star rating task. So now, next episode, like I said, we're going to go in and start continuing on with the silver objectives. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode off here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode.